Aloha, dear traders. Welcome again to another new week, the 26th to 30th of May 2025. As always, I'm Atomashi Daniel, Virtual Global Market Analyst. Great to have you here in this new week. It's a week of beautiful opportunities to behold and to be had across board. As always, we're starting with our fundamental analysis. We're not going to waste too much time. We have Vestrado, we have offices and representations all over the world: Malaysia, China, Dubai, Indonesia, Singapore, Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. Come join us in looking at the markets, trading the markets, and doing some great investments. Okay, you don't want to miss out on that. All right, let's go on with our fundamental analysis. Now, some of the pairs we're looking at this week and financial assets cover up Forex and cryptocurrency. Now, the pairs on the Forex include the Euro USD, GBP USD, and the USD JPY. I'm also going to be looking at the BTC USD Bitcoin this week and Ethereum. Ethereum has got some very beautiful opportunities to be had this week. You don't want to miss out on that. So, what are we looking at for today? Today seems to be a somewhat technical day because we have um, bank holiday from the US today and um, the UK. So we expect that trading volumes will be decreased compared to normal trading days. So perhaps maybe there's not much volatility could be included in today's trading ranges or volumes. So you want to be on the lookout for that and trade safe. It's technicals day, dear traders. It's paradise for technical traders. Little expectations or interference from the economic calendar as far as news or fundamental analysis is concerned. So you want to take advantage of that. Today, too, we have the ECB President Lagarde speaking at an event, a medium impact event from the economic calendar because the event in question is not really tied to the ECB's um, financial framework. So, but of course, these guys, they tend to say one or two things that could influence the markets, even at events that are outside the realm of finance. So, still listen to that and be on the lookout for that. Today, Monday, the 26th of May, 2025. On Tuesday, we have the US core durable goods data to be released and the CB consumer confidence data. Now, these are medium impact news. So, Tuesday could be a somewhat technicals day too. However, when you merge the durable goods data and the CB consumer confidence data together, you might get some significant movement in the market. Hence, it's wise to pay attention to it from the economic calendar in the week 19th, 26th to 30th of May. Now, same Tuesday, we have the SNB, that's the Swiss National Bank's President Schlegel, speaking at an event. Okay, of course, we know that the Swiss as a safe haven currency is well stable enough. However, recently Schlegel has made comments that the Bank of or the Swiss National Bank is prepared to defend the Swiss whichever way it goes. In other words, FX interventions to strengthen the Swiss. So expect maybe comments like this coming from him. He says that quite a lot. Okay, if he does again this week, we could get some significant impact as far as the USD CHF is concerned. But of course, we're not looking at that from my end this week. We can look at that maybe on the daily outlook, so be on the lookout for that. Now, on Wednesday, we have the Richmond Manufacturing Index. Of course, as a standalone data, it's medium impact. So it's not expected to have strong impact in the markets. And it's also a somewhat technical day. But if you look at the FOMC minutes, sometimes the minutes of the last meeting or committee report, then comments from this, if hawkish or dovish, could perhaps influence the markets. So if you combine the two together for Wednesday, we have a significant impact coming from both data. Hence, be on the lookout for that. Now, the big guy for the week, one of the two big guys for the week, as far as I'm concerned, the US prelim GDP data, quarter data coming up, and the unemployment claims. You want to be on the lookout for this. Why is this so? We know that US President Trump started out the tariff wars, and these tariff wars caused many small and medium scale businesses in the US to import en masse. And when imports exceeded exports, okay, on the trade balance scale, it sort of affected America's last GDP data. Now, this time around, especially since the US and China have struck a strong trade deal compared to the tariff wars they had in the past, and the US and UK have a new peace deal And right now, with Donald Trump suggesting that he wants to start throwing tariffs to the EU, strong tariffs, um, we could also see some more large importations coming on board. But most importantly, the effect of the tariff wars earlier in the year could start to play out within this quarter. Hence, this GDP data for this quarter, okay, is quite important because if we see decreased readings, that could be very bad, spell bad news for the US dollar. Hence, significant movement in the market on the weakness of the US dollar. All right. If the unemployment claims in this case could be overshadowed by the news from the US prelim GDP data. So be on the lookout for that. And on the same Thursday, we have Governor Daly speak at an event, the Irish Investment Managers Dinner. Of course, the dinner is tied to a financial event. You want to be on the lookout for that. Bailey has given signs of perhaps maybe a rate cut recently, so he might give a hint. If he gives a hint in this dinner, it's definitely going to affect the pound. Be on the lookout for that. And the next big guy for the week for me, Friday, the 30th of May, 2025, was the core PCE price index. Now we know that the CPI, the consumer price inflation, and the core PCE price index are somewhat gauges or measures of inflation in the US economy. Okay, so this guy, if increased more than expected, we should expect some weakness of the US dollar, especially considering the tariff wars that have happened earlier in the year. All right. But if it's less than expected, then that could strengthen the moves on the US dollar. So be on the lookout for that. And then finally, this it's important to mention that Trump, of course, he campaigned on the fact that he's going to have great corporate tax cuts for large and medium companies in the US. Okay, thereby boosting perhaps employment, jobs, and so on and so forth, and also counteracting the effect of the tariff wars. Now, we know that in the past, last week or 2 weeks ago, the tax cut bill had a problem in Congress. But as at the end of Friday last week, we saw that the bill managed to pass the first reading and moved up the ladder in Congress. Now, the higher it goes in Congress, the better it gets for the US dollar. So be on the lookout for this. And if it gets swiftly approved, oh my goodness, there's going to be some major movements riding on the strength of the US dollar this week if that happens. Now, for Bitcoin and Ethereum, of course, when we have tariff wars like this or global uncertainties, especially in forms of crisis, we tend to have increased volumes as far as Bitcoin is concerned because then many people start to run away from currencies markets and many other markets that seem quite risky um, when trading them in relation to global uncertainties or economic crisis and start to look for crypto that is not so strongly affected by the fundamentals. So be on the lookout for this for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's the fundamentals for us for this week. Now let's go into the charts, the beautiful charts, and we're looking at first and foremost the um, Euro USD. Let's start with the Euro USD. Et voila. Now, what do we see on this guy? So on the weekly chart, we see that price managed to actually break past a significant order block level. You can see the order block level there in pink circles. One, two, three. Okay, price managed to break past that, well above that, but it seemed to form some sort of reversal pattern. So in my opinion, it's not well in the clear above the other block level yet, significant other block level. If it's well in the clear, then we should expect major bullish movements on this guy, especially riding on the weakness of the US dollar. If Trump starts to um, um, uh, enact trade wars against the EU or all other countries. If the trade war, if he continues his tantrums or cooks up tariff wars one way or the other, the dollar is going to weaken, and we should expect continuation above the other block level to new highs for the euro. Okay, the euro might experience a very good year this time around, but let's see how it plays out. On the same weekly chart, we see that the last time price touched is currently at a level, okay, where the last time it touched this price level around the 1.14 range, that was February 2022. February 2022, about 3 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to pay attention to this. This is quite significant. So watch the euro right now for reactionary patterns, be it for continuations on the higher time frames or reversals on the lower time frames. Now, on the 4-hour chart, we see that earlier in the week or last week, it formed a range. Price moved within a range. And the resistance for me for last week was 1.1420, as you can see right here. Okay, seemed to be a nice demand zone. Here we see a nice supply zone, a support zone here being 1.1266. Okay, so for me, the key movement, major movement would be a break above 1.1420, seeing price go to new highs or bullish moves, and a break below 1.12666 could see price initiate major bearish moves. However, in the short term, we see price right now form a negative divergence and a double top. This is a double top right here, and it's trying to recover a fair value gap. Okay, if it manages to recover the fair value gap, we could see price touch upon 1.1375, riding on the negative divergence. Now, major key support and resistance levels for me are, as I said, 1.1420. If price manages to go above that, okay, then we could see it touch upon 1.1460. If it goes above that, 1.1500. If it goes above that, 1.1548. And on the flip side, if we get a strong bearish move, okay, if it breaks past this significant swing high right here, okay, manages to go below that, then we could see target key support level of 1.1300 psychological level. If it does that and goes below it, then price could touch upon 1.1266, below that 1.1231, below that 1200 psychological level, and below that 1165. My take on this guy for now, I am neutral. I'm not bullish nor bearish. I'm looking for a breakout of key support area or key resistance area on the Euro USD, while paying strong attention to the tax cut bill moving up in Congress, in the US Congress. That's my take for the Euro USD. Now let's go to the GBP USD. There you go. Now, of course, in the past 2 3 weeks, we talked about this guy moving nicely along an ascending channel, and right now it's situated nicely along the resistance border of that ascending channel, looking like perhaps it wants to touch upon lower levels. Now, on the same weekly chart, we see that it's also just like the Euro USD, broken past a significant resistance point, which could also be an order block level. Okay, we see that this was a price level at August 2024, June 2021, July 2019, and August 2018. So price broke past that significantly and is looking to test higher levels. Okay, because of this major reason and the bullish patterns formed on this guy, I favor bullish positions. But let's look at key support and resistance levels. So on the 4-hour chart, it seems to form some sort of negative divergence, indicating that there could be a brief bearish correction in the short term before a major bullish move. Okay, so you want to be on the lookout for that. However, on the 1-hour chart, we see it right now move nicely along an ascending channel. Okay, very nicely along an ascending channel. It's currently broken past that, but it has formed um, reversal patterns, which on the 50 minutes chart looks like a double top, okay, and is looking to recover a fair value gap, the fair value gap up until 1.3545. If price breaks below the 50-day moving average, okay, that's the green line right there, traveling all the way from May 2022 up until here. If it breaks strongly below it, we could see price try to recover the fair value gap to 1.3545. However, key support and resistance levels for me are um, 1.3540. Why? Because with the reversal patterns on the 50 minutes chart, it seems to want to retest the resistance border of the channel as seen on the 1-hour chart. So if it breaks below that and goes and returns into the channel, we could see it touch upon 1.3500 psychological level. And if it goes below that, perhaps 1.3464, below that, maybe 1.3443. Okay, for 3464, maybe I want to be conservative enough, 1.3470. If it goes below that, 1.3443, and below that, 1.3413, which would coincide perhaps with the support border of the ascending channel, right? And that could interchange between that and 1.3443. So be on the lookout for that, depending on where price is at any moment in time. All right, that's for GBP USD. Now, for the resistance end of things, If price manages to break past where it is right now, 1.3590, we could see it play around 1.3600. It's not touched this level since um, February 2022. That's a significant timeline. Okay, if it's able to break past 3590 yet again, we could see it touch upon 3600. If it goes above that, perhaps 3625, and if it goes above that, 1.3665 or maybe 1.3650 psychological level. Now, because of the fact that it's looking nicely above the other block level as signified on the weekly chart, I favor bullish positions on this guy at this moment in time. However, because of the negative divergence formed on the 4-hour chart, I'm open to short term, and also because it's right now on the resistance border of a channel, I'm open to short term bearish positions on GBP USD. If I'm selling, I get out, get in, get out quickly, and don't waste too much time. All right, that's GBP USD. Now, the almighty USD JPY, the safe haven currency, yen. What do we have? Now, this guy we know, we've taken so many take profits from this guy. It's been splendid in the past 4 weeks. It's been given back to back as far as I'm concerned. It's the gift that has kept on giving. Right now, it seems to be trying to break below or break past the ascending or the equidistant channel we saw on the weekly chart. I have drawn this channel back to back in the past 4 weeks. Okay, we've traded it, the bears, the bulls, with respect to this channel on the weekly chart. Again, we're back to it, and we see that it's trying to form continuation patterns below the support border of a channel, indicating that there could be, it could test strong lower levels in the near future. All right. So because of this major fact, we could see price touch upon 140.79 support level. Okay, it could go bearish to 140.79 if it breaks past key support levels on lower time frames. On the daily chart, however, we see it move very nicely, just in line with the bearish moves. A descending channel right there is currently, it broke above the resistance border. Right now, seems to be trying to retest the resistance border of that channel, but is doing so with strong bearish momentum. So the probability that this guy is probably going to head back up above the resistance border of the channel seems quite low. Hence, also because of this fact, seems to be returning to the channel. I favor bearish moves. And if you train your eyes very carefully, you see that it's been moving very nicely along a trend line. Okay, but it broke below the trend line while it returned to the descending channel. So you want to pay attention to that, to price reactions at this point in time. Now, to be more specific about its movement, on the same 4-hour chart, for me, my key resistance area is 143.38. However, 143.00 psychological level is a key area. If price manages to break past that, we could see it test the resistance level 143.38. If it goes above that, 143.71. If it goes above that, 144.00 psychological level, and above that, 144.32. Above that, 144.55. Above that, 144.81. Is it going to go so far? I doubt it. I really doubt it on this guy. However, it's Trump's era, it's Trump's regime. Expect strong volatility, never rule it out, as I always tell my students. On the flip side, we seem to be at a significant order block level right now and a key support level. So if price manages to break past 142.30 going down, could see it touch upon and test the psychological level of 142.00. If it goes below that, 142.74, below that, 142.60, 141.60. Right. If it goes below 142.00, we could see it touch upon 141.74. Below that 141.60, below that 141.00, below that 140.50. But keep in mind, I favor bearish positions up until 140.80 or 140.79 right here. We see the dashed blue horizontal line on the USD yen. My take on the yen, I am bearish, of course, I'm bearish. Now, the almighty Bitcoin. What do we have from the almighty Bitcoin? So this guy has formed some sort of negative divergence. But before then, it's important to note that right now, okay, it seems to be testing new highs. Bitcoin, as I speak with you, broke past key resistance area of $108,000 and tested on Vestradus platform 111,909. Okay, so for me, if price manages to break past 111,000 again, it could touch upon 113,000, and if it goes above 113,000, I probably target 114,000 on Vestradus platform. On the 4-hour chart, however, we see that it has formed some sort of negative divergence, indicating that a brief bearish correction is imminent. So putting that into consideration, if it manages to break past my key support area here of 106,000, I would we could see price touch upon 105,771. Okay. Let me show you the levels here. In the past, broke past 108,000, went as high as 111,000, new high from Bitcoin. If it goes above that 113,000, above that 114,000. Ladies and gentlemen, on the negative divergence, if it moves on the flip side and breaks past support level 106,000, it could touch upon 105,771, below that 104,576, below that 102,809, and below that 101,925. What's my take on Bitcoin? I favor bullish positions on this guy. I favor bullish positions, especially on the fact that there's a popular analyst out there these days that has come out to talk about the possibilities of Bitcoin reaching $200,000 in the next 365 days. So this has fueled bullish moves on Bitcoin ever since it made that move. So you want to be on the lookout for this. I favor bullish positions, but I'm open to short term, as I said, short term bearish positions. If I'm selling, get in, get out quickly, okay, on scalping moves. Now, Ethereum, the almighty Ethereum. Now, this guy has shown us some very, very nice patterns, okay? It's been moving nicely along an ascending channel on the 4-hour chart, okay? On the daily chart, we saw that it reacted to the 200-day moving average. You can see the red line right there. Price reacted to that, formed reversal patterns, and recovered a fair value gap. Right now, on the weekly chart, is also reacting to the 50-day moving average. Okay, looking to form tweezer tops, perhaps for time for a brief bearish move. All right, based on the weekly chart right here. However, my entry point is going to be focused around the ascending channel and the double top pattern I see on the 4-hour chart. You can see the double top right here. Swing high, same level. First neck region for the double top is 2443. So if price goes bearish enough to break below the support border of the channel, again the channel, you can see the red lines right there. It breaks below price level 2443.5. We could see price touch upon 2381.5. If it goes below that 2340.2, below that 2300 psychological level, and if it's adventurous enough to go below that, perhaps it could touch upon the 200-day moving average and the psychological level of 2200. Now, on the flip side, um, if it happens to break past 2550 going up, okay, we could say touch upon 2603, above that 2650, which would occur within the range of the ascending channel. And what do I always say about crypto? Ranging markets are very nice to trade for cryptocurrencies. When you see ranging markets, get in, get out fast. The high consistency rate or the win rates on such moves are pretty good for cryptocurrencies such as Ethereum and for Bitcoin. Now, if price breaks above 2650, it could touch upon our key resistance level 2700, okay, psychological level. And if it goes above that, which means it will trash out the double top pattern, okay, and perhaps form a rectangle indicating a continuation to the upside. Hence, if it goes above 2700, it could touch upon 2752, and above that 2800 psychological level. So what's my take on Ethereum? Because of the fact that it's formed a bullish change of character on lower time frames, I favor short-term bullish moves, to 2603 and 2650. Okay, now I'm open to bearish moves below the range of 2443. Now, what else? I favor bullish positions because Bitcoin is looking bullish. All right. So I'm going to time my movements with Bitcoin. Remember, these guys move on Bitcoin's crypto drag. So the key region and key targets for me depends on the breakout of Ethereum. If it breaks above 2700 psychological level, okay, my thought process and analysis will switch to major bullish positions. If it breaks below the channel and 2443 and perhaps maybe 2340, my major positions will be bearish. All right, depending on the range for Ethereum. However, I favor bullish moves on Ethereum. As always for crypto, remember, get in, get out quickly. Okay, if it's not Bitcoin, get in, get out quickly on scalping moves or intraday positions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's that for our weekly analysis for this week. Okay, I hope you got something. You better make some money, yo. All right, there's no time. There's money to be had, and there's a lot to be made. As always, I'm Atomashi Daniel. I'll see you again next week. Have a beautiful trading week. Bye bye.